I want to call to order the January 20th study session. People online, can you hear us? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Roll call, Jason?
All right. Yolanda Cardona. Yolanda, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. John Gill.
Here.
Donna Little.
Here.
Jason Vlasic.
Here.
Nancy Woland.
Here.
John Kennedy. Absent. Bob Burleson.
Here. Okay, the
Ken
first.
Kraus. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Ken Kraus.
Here.
Adam Decker.
Here.
And Paul Panzik.
Here.
You are here, one absent, one member short.
Okay. First item on the list, Crown Point Christian School requesting site plan approval for an addition to the existing school facility.
Hi, good evening. I'm Robin Pappenheim with DVG Team. Does everyone have copies, or would you like paper copies of what was emailed out today? You would have received it today.
I think it was included.
I kind of see them on your. It should be a plat and then three preliminary plan pages and then exhibits for
5 sheets.
Do you have that, or?
It looks
I
like,
think we have everything.
I think we have
On a
everything.
stuffer.
Okay. So we're here tonight to discuss the re-subdividing as well as discussing the site plan that we're working on. The subdivision would be just to combine the two lots that they have for simplicity's sake. We did get out all our public notices per statute. The sign went out on site yesterday. The mailings have gone out and both of the public notices were put in the newspaper. So we have met that requirement. I did also go through the checklist that's provided from the town. Went through this with our surveyor. I believe we've addressed what the town likes to see on these plats, but by all means, if you have comments on it between now and the formal meeting in 2 weeks, let me know. This is the preliminary. My understanding is that the meeting would be for preliminary and final. That's what I was told.
Okay.
So how does that work? Do I submit 2 drawings to you, or?
You're
just the
seeking plat
final?
approval?
Yes, plat approval.
So you would be seeking primary plat approval, and then it's the
Yes.
discretion of the board if they would accelerate secondary approval.
Okay.
But, as it stands now, you'd just be seeking primary. But
Okay.
it's
So
good
we
to
just-
tip the board and let them know that you may ask for that. If it's sometimes the board will grant that if it's a very simple, straightforward, there's no storm drainage or any other issues involved. So sometimes they'll grant that.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So moving on, we will be looking at doing some building modifications. So your next sheet that you should have, C-101, is the existing conditions of the school. Just shows the school as it is now. You'll note an AT&T line running through, and there's a sanitary manhole that's going to be affected, as well as one storm inlet. We're going to raise the grade on that. If you go to the next sheets, which is C-103, you'll see the new building addition. It is the black coloring. There's 3, on the very northeast corner of the building, there's 3 classrooms being added, as well as a large area that's due straight east of the school. We are within the building setback, and that's a auditorium, multi-use space, and some more classrooms that are planned. And we've started to work on the grading for that. That's the next page. We just wanted to demonstrate that the grading will work. There will be a little bit of fill required to accommodate the building pad But we have enough fall to the street to maintain all of the drainage that's out there now. And then the final exhibit, and sorry if I'm going through this fast, you can stop me at any time
Yep.
with questions or questions at the end. The last is an exhibit, and it's meant to demonstrate, I spoke with Ken Kraus, we've been talking about ensuring that the existing detention pond on-site or off-site can handle the additional impervious area that we're adding. I'm in the process of trying to get those original calculations from V3, which was the original engineer for the subdivision. They say that they think they have them and they're trying to find them to send them to me. So if I get those, I can verify. But most likely, this site was designed with a C value, a runoff coefficient of 0.8. That's what your ordinance requires. And you can see right now, we're only at a 0.42. So we should be well within the requirements to not be impacting the detention pond negatively. So that's what this exhibit was for. If I can get the calculations, I'll verify that, but based on what I know of your ordinance and what I was able to show here, I believe we're not gonna have an impact there.
Are you working with Ken Kraus on that?
Yes.
Okay.
We've had some phone conversations and he was looking for an exhibit and/or a written description from me on this very issue. So
Okay.
this is what I have for right now. If I get those calcs from V3, I'll be able to verify. I'm comfortable with it. I just need for Ken to be comfortable with it and the town.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, I have talked with Robin about this before, and even if she can't get the calculations from V3, all she has to do is show me the difference in runoff between what's there now and what's going to be there with this new addition. And I don't think it's going to raise the high water level in the pond that this water drains to by 1/8 of an inch, maybe not even that much.
Okay.
Okay.
So I don't have any problem with this plan. I just need to have something to put in the file that says we've checked it out.
Okay, great. I will get you something one way or the other then for that.
Mhm.
I follow you. Well, that's it for my presentation unless anyone has any questions.
So on the third, you're looking for primary plat approval and secondary possibly. Are you also looking for site approval?
That was the goal, but I'm still waiting on some things from the architect, so I think that might be pushing it.
Okay.
If I have it, I know you need time to review
Yeah,
it, so
yeah.
I don't want to come send it to you on February 2nd and expect you to approve it on February 3rd. But if for some reason we can get it together within the next week, I'll get it out to you and we'll try for that. And maybe all that will be outstanding would be some minor things that we could approve, perhaps contingent upon those being resolved or engineering approving. But
So
that's your
Ken,
call.
Ken, this question's for you. So you looked at
Yeah.
the plat?
Yeah, I did, and I sent Robin the checklist because there were a few clerical things that had not been addressed yet. If they can get all of the things on the checklist on the primary plat and on the secondary plat, I feel you can give them approvals in the February meeting, because these are two existing lots in an existing subdivision. There's no public improvements involved with the primary and secondary plats approval. So they will only have to need to pay the minimum charge for developmental fees of $1,500, which I think they did today. I haven't heard for sure yet, but from the email that I saw, it sounded like they were going to make that payment very soon. And then when they get the site plan all set up and I can have a chance to review it along with the calculations we talked about for the runoff, we can give that the month afterwards.
Okay. Does the 1,500 have to be paid prior to getting final approval?
Yes.
Okay.
It's prior to primary plat approval.
Oh, prior to primary plat approval. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
It's in our new ordinance, you'll be the first ones to come through having to do this.
Okay. All right, that's all right. I don't mind. My client's here to hear it, so we'll make sure we get that taken care of. No, I did have some correspondence with Margaret today about the $45 application fee, and we did talk about this, so I'm glad for that clarification, because I didn't know that, so we'll get that in as well. We'll get both of those in. So, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Paul.
I'm trying to figure out you said there's 2 lots and you're combining them into one. I only see I believe.
Yes, you know what, I didn't send you in. If you look, you can see former lot 1405A and former lot 1425A.
Mhm.
And there's that dashed line between them. They would combine
Oh,
to
that-
be 1406B. will be
That
the
odd
new-
dashed line,
Yes.
so the southern end was actually a separate lot?
Yes.
Oh, that's odd.
That
Yeah.
corner down there is separate.
Okay.
So
So you-
that'll still remain separate.
You're just grouping them, okay,
Mm-hmm.
except for that corner.
Correct.
Okay.
I think it makes things a little easier for them for tax purposes and having the same address and all of that reasoning.
Yeah, that corner is where the water treatment plant is.
Mm-hmm. And all of that property, these 2 lots outside of the water treatment plant are owned by the school then?
Correct.
Okay.
I think they were re-subdivided prior, and they left it as 2, and now they've just decided it would be better to have it as 1 for their
Okay.
book record keeping.
Any questions from the board?
Ken, can I, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. Ken, can I work with you on that plat? Or are you referring to the checklist you sent previously? Because I did, for today's meeting, and maybe you haven't had a chance to look at it, I did address having the addresses on there and the state plan coordinates. Were those the types
Yeah,
of
those are the
things you
kind of
were?
things I was looking for. Those are basically clerical things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I must have had 5 or 6 or 7 or so clerical things that hadn't been checked off. So I wanted you to see
Okay.
the checklist so you would know what I'm looking for.
Okay. Did you mark off the things that were missing?
No, but I can
Okay.
do that.
Would you? Because I don't recall getting that from you, and I want to make sure or just, I'll just work with you between now and the next meeting to make sure everything's on there.
Yeah, my scanner went down, so I wasn't able to send you that, but I've got a new scanner, so I'm ready to roll.
All right. Thanks, Ken.
You're welcome.
Any questions from the board? Okay, see you
Okay.
February 3rd.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Second item is Lot 9, Martin's Commercial Edition, to present a site plan for a retail development on the corner of Poplar and Parish Avenue.
Good evening. I have to admit, I have not been in front of your commission in many, many years, so I do not know what your current protocol is, but I have some paperwork. Can tell me what your...
We'll take them. Thank
We'll
you.
take- yep.
It's a little different with folks with the pandemic. There's people online, so it's
Thank you.
a little more difficult.
Okay, good evening. My name is Jeff Brandt with Brandt Construction, Brandt Companies, and I'm here representing Tam and James Hahn, who are the owners of this property. And we're here tonight to ask for a site plan approval, I don't know your process, it's a preliminary site plan approval to build a 8,120 square foot approximate size building on a 1.04 acre site, which is about 45,000 square feet. And based upon the drawings that were provided to us by Tring Engineering, and actually, we reviewed these plans a while ago when Mr. Eberly was here at the town. And we'd like to ask for your review, comments, and proceed with us to your next meeting for a formal site plan approval. So I'm here to answer any questions that you might have regarding what we're planning to do and get this project approved. The property is currently zoned, I think it is B2. We're off, the site requires 33 parking spaces. We're providing 46 spaces. We have 2 handicap in that layout. We have, if you notice on the south end of the site plan, we have a drive-through area, but it's not for placing orders. It's typically now with this pandemic, a lot of the fast food, potentially fast food, people are not doing, ordering, but people order online with their app, and then they just drive by and then they pick up their food or whatever they order. So I'm here to answer any questions you have regarding this project.
Bob, this is Yolanda. Did we get any drawings on this one? I'm trying to look through my emails to see if we got anything. Oh, I got them. Never mind.
Ken, have you had a chance to look at this?
No, I just got it yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm wondering, and this is probably, so I'm a liaison, I'm a town councilman, I'm a liaison to this board, and I am thinking that we are going to probably have to go to another study session with this because these documents were transmitted recently, and although it's been looked at by Rick Everly, I'm looking at it now and wondering about a few different factors: a lighting plan, landscape plan. This might fall in our 231 overlay district,
Okay.
and that's really important. So building materials and design come into play. It's just not a straight up commercial development. It looks like you're exceeding the green space allowance for our town. So there's some significant, or what might be significant factors here that need to be looked at.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the Tring Engineering submitted these drawings almost 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I did not get any feedback from anybody
Right.
from the town for any, comments or whatever,
And
but I was.
that's what the board would do, and I apologize, we're currently without a building and planning
Correct.
director, and soon to have one, actually.
Yes, and I totally understand it. And when
Yeah.
I was talking to the young lady, she said that we'll probably have to come back for one more meeting like this before we go forward to the, for the approval. So when you're asking for like a lighting plan, the reason why I don't have a lighting plan is that I don't know if you're going to approve the size of this building. It would be
Correct.
pointless to pay all this money for a plan that you're not going to approve in the first place.
Sure. So we'd want to start out with just looking at amount of green space and buffers and landscaping, and make sure we're looking at it and comparing it to the proper zoning district, because we have a commercial zoning district, but we also have an overlay.
I think this fits in your overlay district.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And the materials of the building are going to be brick and glass. I sent you should have an elevation there of the
We do.
building, so it's brick and glass, and there is some drive-it on the top of it for signage and things like that. So, I think it kind of meets your, I don't quite know, but I think it's pretty close to meeting your overlay district with materials, because I think the material list calls for brick, metal, or masonry, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, and there's other specifics, so, and I'm not, please understand, I'm not trying to tear it apart, but I'm saying it's probably going to take, and you'd be welcome at the discretion of the board to come to our public meeting to keep working this, and but not for approval yet.
Okay.
But that would be up to Mr. Burleson if you want to allow him that, or if you want to just skip him to the next study session, because we have a lot to.
You can come here to the February 3rd meeting. Like Paul said, we just got this
Yeah,
Tuesday or Monday?
You should have gotten it over to, I mean, it was sent to your office.
Right.
I know the date we submitted the application,
Yeah.
but I totally understand.
yeah,
I totally
so-
understand.
Right, so the other thing is the plan commission now needs to take it in. This is the meeting when they would take this all in and take it under advisement and analyze all this and then come back to you with feedback.
Okay.
So that we can make sure we meet in the middle. So, yeah, so this is, it's a little bit to review. That's just my first go over on it. We just need to make sure it's all set up.
And I
properly.
totally understand it. If
Yep.
I don't ask for it, you'll never get it in the first
Yeah,
place.
no, this is the first step. Everything is as it should be. You're here, you've presented it to us, now we see it, we take it back, we, analyze it, we give you feedback, and, so, yeah, certainly, next study session, for sure, we can work this over more. But again, it's up to the board if they'd like to have you come to the public meeting, but we wouldn't be ready for approval until we work through all these steps.
Hey, we're open to doing whatever your protocol is to get this project approved in the proper way.
Right,
But if you don't come in front of the board, it'll never get approved. anyway.
absolutely.
So, Mr. Brand, I have some
Yes.
questions.
Okay.
Existing roads, we got Parish, obviously, and then this, looks like a road east of Lot 9. Is that existing road, or is that,
Yes.
okay? And then Poplar Place, that's also in?
Poplar Place is an existing road, I think that's owned by the city. Parish is, or by the, I don't know if it's owned by the city or Parish is in, and the road that's to the east is, a little bit of history. We bought this property and I built, our family or company built the bank that's on the corner.
Okay,
And to get, because of back then, the access, the town was not allowing access off of Parish, or I don't think they have access off of 231. They were allowed, to people to access the bank, they had to come down Parish, go down Poplar, come down the private road, go around the bank, and then come back out to Poplar. This site right here is the leftover parcel that was from the development of it was Lake Federal Savings Bank, which is now, Hagwish Savings Bank. So the access points would be only off of Poplar and the existing private road that's going to be owned 50/50 by Lot 9 and the Lake Federal Bank.
okay. And then you're proposing parking stalls on this private road?
We're proposing parking stalls there. I don't know if they're going to be needed, but I would rather show, yes, we're proposing some parking stalls off of that private road.
Is that something typical? I never seen that, Paul and St. John having,
No, if that
Or-
road comes through to access the bank,
Yes.
it's not a typical layout.
Ken, have you seen that? Parking stalls on a service road, if you want to call it that?
Yeah, I have seen that done before. Usually it's like a frontage road where you don't want traffic going back onto a really busy road, like a highway. So they'll allow basically a frontage road to go through with parking on either side of it. I have seen it, but I don't think I've seen it in St. John.
Okay,
So I'll give you probably the most important bit of feedback tonight, and so, and I don't mean to be difficult, but we have a zoning ordinance document, it's available on our website, and your engineers and/or architects should reference it. I'm trying to pull it up on my laptop now. Your green space, your amount of impervious space is nowhere near where it needs to be. I mean, you're literally, almost the entire lot is paved or hard surface. And our requirements are at least 30%, possibly more. So that document needs to be referenced and incorporated into this plan. That would be step one, because it's going to significantly change the site plan. It's significantly under what our requirements are for the overlay district, and even for the commercial district for that matter. So those documents are available. They're usually referenced by architects and engineers before the stuff is even brought to us. I mean, we're sort of the safety net. We can tell you that, oh, wait a second, I think we're a little deficient here, but I don't think any of these numbers were referenced at all in this design. It just looks like somebody made up what they wanted and brought it. So definitely you need to get the green space in line, because if not, you're going to have to go to our Board of Zoning Appeals and get variances for
Sure.
those things
And
that are
we
off.
prefer
So
not to go that route.
right. So yeah, so we're definitely going to want to get that in line. So we're going to have to work with you a little bit after today and try to get some of that information to you if you need it. And I could leave you some information to contact us tomorrow, and we can guide you to where those documents with those specifications are, so that you can work it into your design. So, you're not the engineer, correct?
No, I'm not. I am Tringa Engineering.
Okay,
Don Tringa put these together.
okay.
As he, so I'm not the engineer.
Understand, yeah, and I thought you were just representing, so yeah, Turinga's gonna need those specifications, and if he needs to contact us, we can get those specifications for him or direct them to where they could be found. So that's I guess the first hurdle I'd wanna see it get
Right.
over, is to get the site plan to where it needs to be for green space, or find out if you need to go to the BZA with any variance requests.
Well, one of the other options we have is that I can remove all of the parking, some of this parking on the far east side. I have way more parking than was required by your ordinance. And we just did that just because you never know. Hopefully it's going to be a very successful location, and we just want to make sure that there's ample parking for
Sure.
employees. And also, I don't know if shows it, but part of this green space is there's a retention pond that's already existing out there. And I don't know if that consists of part of your green space or not, because it's a combined retention pond for both the bank and this property.
We're looking at just this lot,
Okay.
so that's how it's looked at, so, and yeah, there'll have to be modifications and adaptations, but
Okay.
it's a little, probably too much detail to get into tonight, so it's something to work on in between.
Sure.
And, come back to the next meeting, and we'll keep molding it until it fits.
Okay, so will the town get back to me with some particular comments they want to address?
This is that time right now, so if you'd like to have Turinga contact me, I can give you a number.
Okay,
And I could lead him to the documents that he needs to reference when creating this site plan.
okay. No, okay, I appreciate that.
Yep, not a problem.
All right, well, and from here, am I done tonight, or?
For tonight, yep. I'm going to give you some contact information, though.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, not a problem. Actually, if you call Town Hall in the morning
Okay,
and ask for the town manager's office, and I'm going to give you my information, and they can put you in touch with me.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time tonight.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the list is Sublime Estates, Doug Redding.
Yes. If you got one, thanks.
Good evening.
Good evening, Doug.
Doug Reddick, DVG.
Good.
Mike Granatse from Sublime Homes is also here. He's the developer of this project. And if anybody, I think you have copies, but if you want paper copies, I do have them.
Yes, please. I don't know if I have them. Oh, you know what, I have it.
So this is the parcel that Mike's owned for quite some time, right off 93rd Avenue, right by Claremont Drive, just north of Claremont Drive, right where the little S-curve is in 93rd Avenue. We presented it several months ago, but it looked a little bit different than what we're presenting tonight. Mike, we changed it up just a little bit at his suggestion. We've eliminated, I think, 2 lots, if I'm not mistaken. So what we're presenting is a 6-lot subdivision. At one time, we had one more lot on the far west side, which would have had access directly to 93rd Avenue, which is kind of where the existing home is. I show that on lot 6. You can see the outline of the existing home that's on that lot. That home will be removed, but that home has a driveway out to 93rd Avenue. And by eliminating that lot, we were able to make the other lots bigger. All the square footages are on there. These lots are all quite large. The smallest one is over an acre still. So it was kind of a unique project because we have some wetlands in the backyard of a few of the lots. That's all been delineated. That'll be platted in a conservation easement. But we even have in excess of 20,000 square feet exclusive of any conservation easements. So we're looking for a nice exclusive little cul-de-sac here, just for the 6 lots. And we intend to start engineering on it immediately upon a good, warm and fuzzy feeling from the Plan Commission tonight. Be glad to answer any questions.
So you looking for plat approval, or?
This is just to introduce the project.
Okay.
We haven't submitted for a primary plat yet. We'll be doing that in the coming weeks. We just want to make sure everybody likes the revised layout. Again, it's not that different what we presented before, but we think it's a little improved layout. These lots are, 120 feet wide, so they far exceed even your R1 ordinance, and we are zoned R1.
There's less lots than before, correct?
There is.
I remember seeing this project. In fact, I was under the impression it was already approved. I can't recall if we ever got to that stage.
We had 9 lots before, we're down to 6.
Okay.
So basically, we made them quite a bit bigger.
So just upgrading the
Yeah.
layout a little bit. I know that we covered this last time, and I'm not sure if it's included in the drawing or not, but we were looking for more right-of-way on your 93rd frontage, because we're looking to hopefully put a left turn lane in there at some point. And at that time, you said you didn't have a problem with it. It didn't impact your development in any way, shape, or
We
form.
still don't have a problem with that. If we dedicated, we're showing here what's existing on the other lots. I think we have 30 feet.
Looks like 30.
Yeah, it
I think
is
we'd want 45.
45.
Yeah,
It's not a problem, Paul.
that'd be helpful. Yeah, I don't think it cuts into anything you're actually
Because we have
doing.
those outlots, those are just going to be landscape areas on each side. Anyway, we'll have a little landscape island in between the two sides of the street. So that's not a problem at all.
Thank you.
Hey Doug, have you had made any progress on figuring out the detention? Like you and I talked about a few weeks ago?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Ken. What we'd like to do here, I meant to bring that up, the pond across the street for Claremont Ridge on the west side of Claremont Drive is owned by the town. Ken, what I did, I found the drawings for that, and it listed on right on the drawings, the amount of detention required and the amount of detention provided in that pond, and it has extra storage capacity in it. And this is a very small project. We don't need much capacity. And I think there's ample room there, Ken, bottom line, based on what I saw in the drawings.
Yeah, that was my recollection also, Doug, that there was additional storage available in those ponds that straddle, that Claremont Drive straddles. I know that when we put in Claremont Drive, we had to raise it up because of the 100-year flood level, and we wanted the 18 inches to 2 feet separation.
Right.
So I think that created more storage in those 2 ponds.
And I think you're right. So that's one thing we're going to, I guess, maybe clarify, possibly ask for a waiver for stormwater detention on site with cooperation from the town to use the pond across the street that's town-owned.
Interesting.
So we kind of have to work through that,
Okay.
however you see fit. Of course, we have the large.
And actually, about only half of your site is actually going to come to this pond, because aren't all those lots on the east and north side of your new road pretty much going off to the swamp to the north?
That's correct. So the whole backyards, which is just grassy areas anyway, will drain into
Right.
that wetland. So that's so that minimizes how much water is going to that, to the street and then ultimately to the pond across 93rd Avenue.
So there wouldn't be the only drains would be actually on the street.
Correct,
Grade would be sloped from the front of the house to the street.
correct,
But from the back, and that wraps all the way around. I'm looking at the elevations here,
correct.
and it looks like everything,
Natural drainage back there, big
there's a
wetland.
natural low spot here on the western end. So it's going to go to this spot and then turn north,
Right,
if I'm reading that properly.
that's correct.
Is there an outlet on the swamp, on the wetland area?
Yes, it's a culvert underneath Deodore,
Okay,
right by Pasaga Woods there, just to the west.
okay.
It's like a 18 or 24-inch culvert. Flood zone associated with that, it's noted on the drawing, the base flood elevation is 691.3. All our basement floors are gonna be, a minimum of 2 foot above that, so we don't have a flood zone issue per se.
Okay, any questions?
Is there going to be a subdivision sign?
I believe there will be.
We,
Will it be in the island or on one side or the other?
The island,
Probably in the island.
tell me what I gotta do, but I would like to have one, yeah.
So again, we have an outlet on both sides of the entrance and the island in between, so.
right, right.
But-
So as part of the plat approval, when it comes to subdivision signs, that's, the plan commission oversees that, those signage. And I guess the only caution I would give you, we've had some signs put in before we, got a hold of this process that were huge and actually block vision coming in and out. We don't want anything in an island that would, create a line of sight issue. So the plan commission likes to see those drawings and understand how big the sign is. We've also had signs come in that were much bigger than expected once they were put up, so.
Yes.
Just a, a basic concept
Do
of
you
what
have any
you,
thoughts on that yet, or not yet?
Yeah.
We'll work through it.
okay.
There was talk about sidewalks to be put on 93rd. That was seemed like the first time we looked at this a couple years ago. Is that,
So our new subdivision control ordinance is gonna have you put a larger sidewalk on your frontage of 93rd. I'm trying to remember if it's 8 foot or 10 foot, but the frontage on 93rd will require a wide sidewalk. You don't have a lot of frontage, but,
No, we don't.
and then, of course, just, you'll have a regular sidewalk through the
Yeah.
development.
Right. So you think it's a 7 or 8 foot walk along 93rd?
It's either 8 or 10. If you look at our subdivision control ordinance online, it'll spec it out. Anything that's up to an artery now, we have the wider path put in.
I remember reading that before, yeah.
Yep.
You don't have a problem putting a little bit of sidewalk in? So, no, I think it's a pretty clean project, really. I think it's gonna be very nice.
I'm not a voting member here, but I admire a development like this, large lots, quality homes probably. Do you have a price range you're shooting for?
Probably $1 million to 1.5.
Okay.
sell me two?
Wait, I need to win that Mega Millions first.
So is it safe to say I can start engineering and come back with full drawings?
I think so, yeah. I don't see anything jumping out at me.
And that's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
I'll be in touch.
Anybody online, anything?
Anybody online? Any questions?
John, I'm sorry, Bob, I couldn't hear what the price range that they're looking at into selling these homes. What did he say?
1 to 1.5 million?
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I want one too, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
You almost sold out, Mike.
I really appreciate the larger lot. I like the design.
For us, that 9 lot concept, we just kind of get stuck in a rut thinking about everything else, and not the team, but not what it is.
I agree with Mike. Mike likes to think outside the box, and I went for, how many 100-foot lots can I get in there? And then he started looking at the strategy of, make him a little bit bigger. Maybe he can obviously sell them for a little bit more money, but you get nicer homes too. So
Well, it's a unique piece of property too. You got
it is.
nothing to the north per se, and kind of to the southwest, and
And
You know, it's kinda-
removing that one driveway from 93rd Avenue will only help the situation over there too with the S curve.
Doug, the wider sidewalk on 93rd should be at least 8 feet wide.
Thank you for clarifying, Ken. And honestly,
Thanks, Ken.
I might just do a 50-foot right-of-way. That way it gives us a little bit more room for that sidewalk anyway.
That's fine.
It doesn't hurt anything.
Sure. Always better.
You'll find that in Title IV, required improvements in the subdivision control ordinance.
There's no pipelines on the property or near
No.
it? Okay.
That's the next thing on the agenda.
Okay.
We'll talk about that one next. So we're good?
Yep,
All right, thank you very much.
yep, thanks, Tim. Okay, next item, Myers Addition, Unit 3.
Once again, Doug Reddick with DVG, representing Dennis Myers, Myers Addition. Dennis is here tonight. If you have any specific questions for him. And I know a lot of you are familiar with Myers Addition. It's a project he's been working on for several years now. So we've platted Myers Addition Unit 3, Blocks 1, Block 2, and Block 3. Block 4 was intended to be on the first page of your drawings. Block 4 was going to be lots 8, 9, and 10. Those are the only ones that we don't have platted, and we have a lot of the improvements in. The road is in, the whole loop road is in, but the road in front of lots 9 and 10 and 8 has not been installed yet. So we're contemplating modifying the PUD and trying to squeeze in the 2 more buildings down here by Bingo Lake. And that's really what we want to talk about tonight. Because there is a pipeline that runs through that property that kind of follows along the edge of Bingo Lake. And that's that big dark line that says Explorer Pipeline on it. So what we'd like to do is end Shell Drive, terminate the road in a cul-de-sac. Again, this is a PUD, so we're going to be amending the PUD. So we'd like to put a cul-de-sac there. That way we have ample turnaround for all vehicles. And then we want to put the 2, these are going to be like townhomes, 4-unit townhomes that will have back up to Bingo Lake. So we have kind of a unique piece of property here. It's kind of odd shaped, obviously. A lot of it is encompassed by Bingo Lake itself. Then we have the pipeline that cuts through it. That's a 50-foot wide pipeline easement. And then because of your new ordinance, we allowed for a 50-foot pipeline impact zone next to that. And that leaves a little bit of room to put in the 2 buildings. We think we can get 8 units in there, 4 units in each building. He wants to be close to the water. He wants to have patios, over with that view behind. That's the whole concept there. This plan is kind of set up for 1-car garage units, but Dennis asked me to modify it, so very minor change. I think we'll be able to get 2-car garages in each one of these units. We're going to make the buildings just a little bit wider to accommodate that. We have ample parking for visitors. So I do have a minor revision to make to the drawing, but the concept is the same. We want to do a similar size building. It's just slightly longer and slightly deeper to accommodate those 2-car garages. We feel we have room to do that. So the concern really is the pipeline and the pipeline impact zone, which I know Paul is familiar with. And I wanted to introduce the project and get some preliminary feedback on if you like the concept. The good thing here is the pipeline, we've had it checked out. It's quite deep. So we know we have the correct amount of cover over the top of that. We're minimizing how much asphalt we're putting on top of it, but we've been in contact with them preliminarily. They should not have a problem with what we're proposing here because they're plenty far in the ground. They're 8 or 9 feet in the ground, and a lot of times they only want 4 or 5 feet of cover over their pipeline. So we'd like to, right now the road is planned to dead end at the south line, right by lot 9. So this whole lot, this whole parcel is not part of the original Myers Addition Unit 3. So that's why we have to amend the PUD. But this is how we'd like to basically finish out the project.
So you just said the road ends at lot 9?
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's all the utilities are in, but the pavement is not in. The
Pavement's
pavement
not in.
stops right by lots by, between 8 and 10.
Between 8 and 10.
You kind of draw a line across.
Okay, yep, yep.
So you could drive all the way on the loop, you just can't go to the south. Roads into here.
Wasn't this road supposed to extend down to 85th
At one time
at one time?
when
Yeah.
Levin was here, there was talk about trying to take this all the way through to 85th. Levin's out. We've never wanted to really do that. But there was discussion of that. Yes, there was.
Yeah, I was never really too keen on it either. What's the pipeline impact? How far is that? What's the distance? I
We gave
can't.
50 feet,
50 feet?
which I believe is per ordinance.
Well, the ordinance, and Adam Decker, correct me if I'm wrong, the ordinance is the 50-foot from even a lot line on a minimum size lot, but we're working with a PUD, so there's some variables in play. So you're going to seek zoning basically south of this line. You're going to be seeking a rezone to a
No, we have R3 zoning already,
okay.
but we have to amend the PUD. The whole project is R3 as I recall already.
Okay.
But we have to amend the PUD to add the extra land in.
Extra, add the extra what?
It's,
This south portion of the property was never part of the original PUD.
so you would be, and again, Adam, speak up here. So the south end of the property, if it's not currently zoned, it has to be rezoned to,
Well, it is zoned, but it's not part of the PUD, so it's kind of a technicality. So-
what's the, so it's straight R3 currently? I'm trying to
Yes,
understand.
that's
So
correct.
it's straight R3 currently.
Right.
And you would like to have, you're looking for R3 PUD.
Well, come to think of it, we may not need to amend the PUD. We might be able to just do it straight R3.
Yeah, so that's
Maybe
what
Adam
it's
can
figured
weigh in
out.
on that. I always thought we would just amend the PUD, but we may not have to.
Yeah, you can't really amend a PUD because that's north of that line, so this is parcel, you almost have to look at a separate.
It's a separate
So-
parcel.
Right, so you have to look at you either go with the zoning or you rezone it, and,
Yeah, I think it could be done either way, honestly, because we have the zoning. Yeah, we had it.
it's
rezoned.
R3, correct, right. Right.
So the
and
question is, are we better off keeping it?
R3 and working within that, or do you want to rezone to a PUD?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or, no, again, I'd want to amend the other PUD, which we've
Well,
done before.
You could, but the other PUD applies to the property north of that line. It doesn't apply to that parcel. I'm not trying to be difficult. I mean, it's doable. I'm just saying there's a process to
And
it.
again, whatever makes more sense to Mr. Decker, I
Right.
think we're agreeable to.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm listening to both of you, but really have nothing to add. I think you're both on track with your comments.
So the way the pipeline ordinance works is, or the pipeline, call out in the ordinance, the impact zone, the lot has to be outside of it, the lot, not just the building, the entire lot, if it's a minimum sized lot. Now,
The lot area, right, Paul?
the
lot
yeah.
line.
So like if you have so the lot has to be outside of it. And now that's not to say that, and again, Adam can correct me if I'm wrong, when it comes to subdivision control ordinance, the plan commission can oversee a waiver like they can for any other subdivision control ordinance matters. That would be up to them. But we have to do some calculations here and revisit that, because with the multifamily, we need to find out what the minimum lot size is.
Right.
So, so I don't think you're clearing it here. The buildings clear it, but the lots certainly don't. The lots contain it. But that's why we're at study session, to
Right.
discuss these things. So not saying it can't be done. It's just,
Because, we end up with all of this over here.
That'll all be part of Lot 18. Well, our lots are going to be very large.
understood.
And there was some discussion early on before you adopted the pipeline impact ordinance. And I think this is one of the things I brought up, that, we will need to plant easements on these lots. And this is probably very unique. It is a very unique project where I think we can get the square footage. I understood it that say it's R1 and we need 20,000 square feet outside of the impact zone. We could still put an easement on the lot, as long as we have our 20,000 square feet outside of the impact zone. That's how I thought it was written. And I think we can still do that here. That's kind of how I approached it here.
I noticed these are 4 units and the remainder are duplex, is that correct?
That's correct. It's a different style of building. But again, that's allowable in R3.
Are they going to be, I'm just curious, just trying to learn about this. Are you looking at multi-story or
Yeah, two-story.
2-story?
So the
Okay.
garage would be on the main floor with a great room, I think you said, Dennis, great room kitchen, and then the bedrooms upstairs.
Lakefront deck?
Yep.
Yeah.
All brick. There'll be,
Brick 4 sides?
what's the square footage we got on?
On the units,
Yeah. What do we have per floor? Remember?
well, I'd say it was like close to 1,000 square feet per floor, and then we're taking out the garage. So they're 1,600, something like that?
Maybe, could you speak that in the mic so the folks online can hear that they'd be all brick and?
Yeah, the plan is to make two-story all brick buildings with, each unit would have a two-car garage that's, within that footprint of the building. 2.5? 2.5 bathrooms. Again, backing up to Bingo Lake, so they have decks or patios overlooking the lake. And the approximate square footage, not counting the garage, is 1,500 to 1,700 square feet. I think we're pretty close to that.
And I understand you have the R3 zoning already. I just think it helps the plan commission to understand what you're
Yeah.
what
So
you're
they're
trying to do.
Townhomes, 4 units side by side by side.
They'll fit in with the buildings we're putting up there now.
Architecturally, they'll, similar colors and brick and all that.
All the buildings will be up there.
So he wants it to look, he wants us to kind of finish out, again, what we call Myers Edition. We'll just have to decide whether we're better off amending that PUD or just going for it as straight R3 we may need some variances because of the impact zone. It's just such an unusual piece of property with, the lake and the pipeline. So the plan tonight was just introduce it to you so we can chat about it and figure out the best way to, proceed.
Should we point out, originally we were gonna put in 4 more duplexes until they came up with this new impact zone? Is that-
Right, yeah, we one time entertained duplexes, but the impact zone drastically made a huge difference on the available land there. So, we're down to kind of a smaller footprint of the building, but going to a 2-story. I think your other buildings are all ranch units, aren't they?
Well, there's 1 2-story.
Yeah, but most of the duplexes are ranch units, but these would be 2-story units.
I see the wetland delineated. Is any of the lot within a floodplain or? It's been built up?
Yes, yeah, Mingo Lake has a floodplain associated with it. But we will be, again, no basements, so our easily can meet, the minimum floor elevation will be 2 foot above base flood elevation.
Okay.
Well, the lake is floodplain, right?
Yeah,
The lake itself, right?
but no, it gets
It's
into
not
the
creeping
pond.
up onto the lot, though?
No, it does.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
The floodplain, I don't think I have that layer turned on, but yeah, where the buildings are gonna go, they will be in the floodplain, but we're gonna meet the floodplain standards.
Yeah, well, we're gonna take them out of there.
Well, yeah, if we're allowed to permit them, get a building permit if we build them 2 foot above the base flood elevation. And if we follow that procedure, which has always been the plan, we can actually remove the buildings after they're built from the flood zone for flood insurance purposes.
These buildings will be higher than the ones I'm putting in now.
As I recall, the existing phase, none of the buildings are in the flood zone, but the way the line creeps into this area, so they're technically in the flood zone, but we're gonna elevate them and do it per ordinance to make sure the lowest floor, and that's why we can't put basements in.
Do you have to provide for compensatory storage or?
It's a good question for Ken, but it's not in your ordinance. Is that correct, Ken?
That's correct.
It's a kind of a town-by-town thing.
Okay.
It's a big piece of property for 2 buildings. A lot of green belt.
Mr. Decker,
Yes.
is it correct that, so we're working with an unusual piece of property. I just want the Plan Commission to know what they can and cannot do in regards to the subdivision control ordinance in the pipeline impact zone. Am I correct in stating they have the ability to, if they choose, to waive portions of the subdivision control ordinance, such as the impact zone, to whatever degree they specify?
Yes, the short answer is yes. The pipeline impact area, well, the specific subdivision control ordinance, and this is in chapter 5, but basically that pipeline impact area is defined as being 50 feet beyond the boundary of the easement for the pipeline itself. And so with the adoption of those changes, the ordinance reads that at minimum, the minimum lot area for the applicable zoning district, so if this is R3, then that's the applicable zoning district, but that the minimum lot area must be located entirely outside the pipeline impact area. So in looking at I believe in looking at the drawing that was pulled up, it appears like, I believe it's lot 17 and lot 18, those lots themselves, I don't know what the size of those lots are. And that may come into some determination about whether or not it satisfies whether there is the minimum lot area for that R3 district is outside of the pipeline impact area. But yes, to answer your question, Paul, if the Plan Commission so chooses, it does have the ability to waive certain requirements of the subdivision control ordinance.
Thank you. So I'd be curious to see what portion of lot 17 and 18 are outside of that, just as a study point.
Yeah.
Something to work with.
Yeah,
See if we meet that requirement.
I'm
And then you
quite
could-
sure we do.
And then you could present it to the Plan Commission as far as, okay, is there anything we could work with here? So, do you know the contents of the Explorer?
Did they say is it a petroleum pipeline or natural gas? Do you remember in your conversation?
I believe it's petroleum.
I think it is too.
I think he's right, but, okay.
Mr. Decker, this is Bob.
I've got one little comment. I think in our new ordinance, we don't allow detention to be included as part of the lot.
That's correct. I don't think there's any detention in the lot. Is there?
Well, we're
Well,
gonna,
you got all of Bingo Lake.
right, the water will go to Bingo Lake.
Oh, I didn't realize the lots went into Bingo Lake.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking at that, yeah. No, yeah. I didn't even notice that. I was looking at this other line here. Specifically, that the intent of that is that you cannot count that as part of a minimum lot size.
Again, I did a quick calculation of
Right.
the clear area where the buildings are and outside of the lake, outside of the impact zone. I still think we're in excess of 20,000 square feet for each lot.
Okay.
And now I can't remember what the square footage for townhome buildings are. I think it's 20,000 square feet for an R3. But I will do the calculations and then we can continue our discussion possibly. I'm looking for red flags, I guess, tonight to see, do we need to, are we close to something that could be worked with or not?
Well, I think we definitely need to look at the impact area. Mr. Decker, I have a question for you. The 50-foot impact zone, is that from the pipeline easement to the building, or or is it from the pipeline easement line to the lot line?
So, Mr. Burleson, it really is, well, first of all, the ordinance says that no building shall be located within the pipeline impact area, with certain exceptions, which really don't apply here. But also, more importantly, I think, and more directly to your point, that basically the ordinance says that no portion of a floating building line, a front yard, side yard, rear yard, as required by, area and width regulations for an R3 district, can be located inside or within a pipeline impact area. So it's really 50 feet from the boundary of the easement, and then from that point, that's where you start to, it's essentially that distance of 50 feet from the easement boundary is the pipeline impact area. You cannot have a building located in that, and you also have to meet those other requirements for the front yard, side yard, rear yard building lines for the R3 district. So that also has to be complied with.
Okay.
In essence, you need the whole minimum lot outside of the impact zone, and then once you have that minimum lot outside of that, then you could apply your yard, side, rear yards. This one's a little different. It's an
Yeah,
unusual piece.
It is
So-
a very unusual, and I think this is the first time anybody's presented anything with the impact zone. in it.
Well, yeah, we've had, well, what's really, it's not just the impact zone. You have a lake here,
Yeah, I know.
there's a whole lot going on for
It's a
sure.
very
So,
unique piece.
yeah, and the whole purpose of the impact zone is for, obviously, the safety we wanted. And the reason we take the whole lot out of it, it's not just the building we're concerned about, it's human activity over the area near the pipeline. So we have places in town where folks have put sheds and drilled fences in, like actually on the easement. So it's a concern of ours. So we want to make sure we manage it, but at least the Plan Commission knows as well that they can manage it from a point of partial waivers too, if it's reasonable and applicable to but it's in their purview to
And I
deem if
understand
it's
that.
safe or not.
Yeah, I knew it's a unique project.
Yes.
Because we will have parking in the impact zone. Now, the
Right.
buildings are outside of it. I would, based on what you see here, I would ask for a waiver. If there's a building line in addition to the 50-foot impact zone, front yard building line, that would kill the project. If we can't live with a plan like this, I can't throw another 20 or 25-foot building line on there, which is what we have in the rest of Myers Edition. There's nothing, there's nothing left at that point. So if we're going to entertain pursuing this, we would definitely need a waiver for a building line outside of the impact zone that would put it halfway through the building, and then there's nothing left as far as buildable area. So I think we're all going to have to kind of work together over the next
Yeah.
couple weeks and try to figure out a plan of attack, and whether we do it R3 with some waivers, or possibly consider amending the PUD, which might give us more latitude. I don't know.
So I have another suggestion, just, again, it's very much in an infancy stage, but just an idea. So the other concept that we're trying to keep off of pipeline easements is for the sake of resident convenience when they come through and decide to tear it up and rebuild everything. So at the very least, having things over the easement, like these parking spaces, can cause problems in the future. But I'm just being creative and looking at your layout and wondering, have you ever thought about putting parking, like some parking slots on this northwest corner of the cul-de-sac, like some angle parking right there? You can get it over there and not even be in the easement. You could probably put 4 or 5, 6 angle spots on that cul-de-sac, and then maybe you can need less of this guest parking here.
Right, it's certainly an option, Paul. We have more guest parking, because we're going to do the 2-car garages, we could reduce the number of parking spaces just because of that.
Or maybe or maybe put a few spaces off the end.
Right.
To get them out of that, to at least get them out of the easement. Because when they come through and tear up the easement, and they do, because I know people that do that for a living, so.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
We feel we have room there with the plan that we have presented, but we can certainly look at that again.
Yeah,
And
just a suggestion.
Yeah.
Possibly rearrange the parking.
we do know that because of the depth of the pipeline, we believe they'll be satisfied with what we're presenting, but.
Well, I'm sure they won't have a problem with it. We think of anything built on the easement is going to get torn up at some point. That's the problem. So we're trying to avoid that.
In the cul-de-sac, we have no choice. We have to put it
Right.
there. I mean, there's nowhere else to put it without being.
And our ordinance doesn't prohibit that, so that's,
Right.
there's no issue. Our primary,
Is there an ordinance against the parking on that easement? Are you saying there's an ordinance that we can't use part of that easement to park on?
what I'm saying is, the ordinance calls for at least the minimum lot size to be outside of the impact zone. But what I'm suggesting is, even if the plan commission were to give a waiver, I think that they may be reluctant to want anything on the easement, because when we talk about, you have a cul-de-sac, which is public, but you have the parking spaces, which are private, and we'd prefer nothing to be over the actual easement for sure. So, because again, if it gets torn up someday, then whoever owns this is gonna have to fix it, so. The ordinance would move pretty much everything out, but we're looking for ways to make it happen. We're trying to find ways to be flexible if there's a way.
I think what he's suggesting, Dennis, is
Yeah, put it down there.
maybe we put parking stalls,
Right.
maybe 4 of them here and 4 of them down there,
Yeah.
so they're
Well,
outside.
that'll get them out of there.
Yeah, so we're certainly not.
And that's just, again, I'm not a voting member of this board, but I have planning is my passion, so I try to give suggestions.
About the only thing we can possibly get on that property, otherwise it's a total loss. When they put the 50-foot impact zone in there, that made it almost impossible to get anything back there. And it's a shame to lose that. That's got such a great spot there on the water. I mean, people love that. And it's a lot of land. If you look at the whole thing there, it's a lot of property there. If we develop that as I'm drawing it, or close, when it's finished, nobody's gonna know what's under the ground there. It's gonna be all trees and grass in front of those buildings. There's a lot of area there that is green belt, you might say. There's a lot of lines on it now, but when it's all grass, when you drive down there, it's gonna be pretty cool. I love building on the water. That's why I'm really struggling real hard to get something in there so
Right.
we don't lose that, the value there.
So how about we come back in a
Yes.
month, and I'll get you some square footages as to how much land is really there. We'll review what's required in R3, and then maybe Adam and I will discuss possibly PUD or straight zoning and see what might work out better.
Okay.
I think either way, we might need some waivers anyway, so it might just be easier to keep it R3. So, very good.
Anyone,
Anybody else?
before we go, anyone online have any questions before Doug leaves?
Hey Doug, have you looked into maybe filling in part of Bingo Lake to give you more land surface? I know you need to get, permits from DNR and such,
We
Army Corps.
we have not looked into that, Ken, only because we know Mr. Plaskota got into some trouble for doing so. That's a wetland issue. Very expensive.
Well, Mr. Plaskota filled more than he was given a permit to fill. That was his problem.
Is that the
I
guy
understand that
towards 41?
Wait a minute, he's forgetting I'm 81 years old. I'm not gonna be around long enough to go through this. My kids will have to be doing it.
It could possibly be permitted. The last one we were involved with, it's like $95,000 an acre to purchase wetland credits to compensate for that. It's expensive, and it's not something we want to pursue at this time.
I think we have some options to look into for the next time. I think the option that Ken just gave, it's expensive, but it's an option. And then Paul also gave a good option in terms of putting the parking spaces across the cul-de-sac so that they're not on the pipeline easement. So maybe we can come up with some other ideas for you, Doug.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at that and come back next month.
Okay.
I do like the idea of having, it's already zoned, so I mean, I think everyone understands it's already zoned R4, R3. So, you're allowed to build a building of this type, and I do like the idea of, having some nice buildings on the lake. Do you know what the approximate selling point would be on these units? Do you have any idea?
Probably between 350 and 4.
So they'd be nice units?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
for-
They'll fit in with the buildings we're putting in there now. There's $500,000 buildings in there.
So,
For one unit.
Per unit.
$500,000.
yeah, so for the sake of the plan commission, because he doesn't have a microphone, he just gave feedback that the units would be 350,000 up per doorbell.
Right. That's a good way to put it, Paul, per doorbell.
For a doorbell.
The way lumber's going right now, they might be over 4. $6 for a 2x6 stud. It's unbelievable what the prices are going to right now. It's pretty bad.
All right, so we'll do some changes.
Yep.
And we'll continue our conversation.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Some general discussion first, please.
Okay.
So Plan Commission, hoping to have a building and planning director at our next meeting. Stay tuned on that. We're working on that. And, good night. We will look to do some refresher training, and I know most of you went through the training last year. We have a new member, but we'll all revisit that training, hopefully, next study session, like a month from now.
Yeah.
We'll go through the PowerPoint training slides. It only takes about an hour. I think those of you that have served for a year, it's going to be beneficial to see that training once more because it'll all make more sense. And our new guy will like it as well. So, lastly, I just wanted to comment that what played out here tonight with the pipeline impact zone is exactly the reason we put it in place. We built basic framework in our subdivision control ordinance to avoid human activity on the pipeline easement by setting the minimum lot size. Now, it's up to the plan commission. If there's unusual situations like this and you think, well, if we have them change a few things, it's quite safe, so we have the buildings at least 50 feet away now, where before they put the building right up to the easement, or could, right? So we've already gotten a building 50 feet further than it would have been before, and then they still have to essentially request any variations or deviations from our subdivision control ordinance. So it completely puts the power in your hands to exercise your authority for the health, safety, and welfare of the community. So it's a good thing. I'm glad it's in place. And you may be able to make this work and feel quite comfortable and safe about the approval of it, and just know that it's a far better buffer, or even as it sits here, than would have ever been presented a year ago. So we've certainly come a long way with pipelines. I'm sure Yolanda would hopefully agree to that.
No, I think we can all agree to that.
Yeah, we do, Paul. Sorry.
I called her out because she was especially integral in the spark to
Right.
make these changes. So, yeah, so you're where before you were absolutely powerless, now you have the control to ensure the safety and welfare of the residents. So it's a great thing. That's all I have. Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.